how is AI disrupting the traditional skills and roles that we are typically used to?
Yes. So maybe if you take about the disruption, as you rightly said, you brought an important point about lean teams, right? We call in consulting flipping the pyramid, right? So now you can get more done. And sometimes in the future, we will have what we call digital workers working side by side. So what I think you can look at is from a skills perspective. We can look at automation of routine tasks, the boring stuff that we don't like to do. We can get the use of AI to do that. I think if you take roles, it's something that's going to evolve. There are new roles that will be created. For example, need to train this workforce on using these tools responsibly and also make sure they get the right outcomes. So I think new roles like AI trainers will come in. We talk about ethics, so we need ethics officers. We need data related roles. And the key aspects, I think, in terms of the skills is we will see that there is less memorization that is required and more what we could talk about critical thinking, problem solving, those aspects I think will come to the front. And typically, we have managers, and even those roles are now going to change because I think now those hierarchies with flipping of the pyramid is going to remove some of the layers. So I think even some of the senior folks, right, will have to be using these tools, right? Rather than getting your analyst to do the research, we can do what we call self-service. So I think, the game has changed, and people who, the way I look at it is people will be replaced who don't know AI skills by the people who know AI skills. So upskilling, reskilling, unlearning, and relearning, I think is the new mandate. What do you guys think?
Well said, Harish. Like unlearning, relearning, totally agree. In fact, unlearning is a must because I still talk to some developers who are like avoiding AI like a plague, saying, I don't want to get into that. I want to just use my brains. And I'm afraid I think those developers will soon become dinosaurs if they are not adopting AI. At the same time, Harish, what you were saying about jobs that includes like governance roles, they are on the rise. I saw in the statistics like 60% of the companies are hiring more governance side of AI. That's pretty remarkable compared to 17% last year, so it's huge leap. And also I was going to say, I mean, a lot of people use AI for content creation and things like that, but I think where the companies are currently racing towards is how do we use AI to create value and capture value. So any skill set that we have on how to use AI to be relevant in the business, I think that's going to be the key.
Yeah, and like I think agentic AI is playing like a huge role in that, right? We talked quite a lot about like a typical workplace type of like an impact with these roles and skills being revised and replaced at certain levels. But it's not necessarily limited to companies as such, right? Like it is across like every dimension that you can think of. I mean, robotics, for example, has been there for quite a while now, right? But I think we will see like a huge acceleration and boom on the robotic side because of the age of AI, or like the capabilities that are being put forward, that are enabled through AI to that'll impact like your household. Like I was watching this video like a couple of days ago. It was a demo of like a robot doing house cleaning, right? It's kind of like the iRobot vacuum multiplied by 1,000 type of like a capability, right? Like it's going from like one room to the other, cleaning all these things, like putting
Loading the dishes.
in the dishes, if you find like things that you can throw away, like it's throwing them in the garbage, doing all of that, right? Like that's just like one example. At one point, like a lot of fear kind of started rising around like automated vehicles like going to replace like the or disrupt the trucking industry, right? So what's going to happen to those individuals like who are like actively and like working on those areas today? To Haresh's point, I think like everyone needs to kind of get to that mindset that like change is coming, change is already here. We need to adapt.
One thing I wanted to say, Yuresh, is that it's a controversial statement to make. Like every person at work is using AI for productivity, right? Basically helping them do the development. They are kind of diminishing themselves right now, right? Because they are in essentially training the AI to do what they're doing. That's one of the, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You need to use it, but you can't use it too much. So you guys have any thoughts around that? Like what should come out of it?
I would actually take it from a positive side. Like, so for anyone who's working like long hours because of time constraints, because they have like a lot to get done, leveraging AI could like reduce that time. So you are still responsible for getting all that work done, but you are just like accelerating it. Like something that used to take like 12 hours a day, you could cut it down to like about 8. So that doesn't necessarily mean that like you are getting obsolete because of that. Like it kind of helps you in the long run. But I think there's a bad side to it. Like if you really look at it from the other side of, like, that's kind of like how I look at it. But it is controversial for sure, right? Because I've had like clients talk about this topic openly, right? Like, because what does it really mean in getting productivity increased by AI? Does that mean that someone used to take 100% of their time, now they are only needed like for half of that time because we can do like the rest with AI? Like, that is a controversial topic. I think it'll have an impact. We'll see more and more baseline coming out of the impacts of it. We are still, I feel like we are a bit of on the early stages of that bell curve, how it is getting impacted.
I think the flip side, while we see some negativity, is I think if we all start adopting it, right? I think there's a fear factor first, right? With every change, we first get into some fear aspect. But as I mentioned, after some time, when we start working with these tools side by side, rather than giving some prominence, I think more prominence is given to AI than the human factor. We have a lot of creativity. So I think these tools, if you use it for brainstorming, right? If you can use it in terms of helping you do, as I mentioned, the boring work, right? And to Yuresh's point, right? If I had to spend 10 hours to complete that task, if I'm able to even save 2 hours, that is helpful, right? And I think from organizations' perspective, they need to look at it as a productive tool, intelligently used. And imagine possibly we can serve more clients and maybe we can give better outcomes, right? It's a different thinking, right? And also clients may also have great expectations because now they also know, now the workforce that the providers are also having these particular tools, right? So I think now you need to up your game, right? It also means, I think, with agentic AI, Yuresh, what you talked about, some of those risky jobs, dangerous jobs with drone technology, AI, and all of that, I think we've not really looked at some of the benefits, right? Say forest fires, which are quite challenging with the new robotic drones and AI. They can go into dangerous places and protect the humans. Was that possible earlier? No. So I think we can look at new use cases, new things, and I'm sure the human ingenuity that will bring new jobs and roles. And I think in every era that I've read through, it has been a fear factor. Then suddenly, we come up with something new. So I thought I'll share that perspective also on the positive aspects we can get out of it.